share, can I share my presentation on the screen, please?
Yeah. I need to press
Yes.
continue, I guess.
No, it has to work.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, we are seeing your screen.
وليه ما اعملش شير سكرين يا أستاذ؟ لا عشان سوري مش شير سكرين اللي هي السلايد شو من هون ولا؟ Okay, good afternoon. Again, I would like to welcome our kickoff meeting of discussing potential collaboration between Riga Photonics Center and other centers and groups at Latvia specialized in photonics, and the Center for Photonics and Smart Materials, CPSM, one of the leading photonics center in Egypt. Well, we can talk about different things, but I decided to give an overview of CPSM to give you an impression and good hint about the different research areas and directions that we are leading at the moment at CPSM. My name is Salah Obayya, and please, if you would like to ask me about anything during the presentation or after the presentation, you are most welcome. Well, I'll start first about a few words about myself, the senior academic positions that I have took up so far, and then we'll devote the rest of the presentation about the research and the academic experience. Photonics in the market, I think you are quite familiar with the huge role of photonics that's played at the moment in the market and in the economy, one of the main drivers of economy in Europe and the rest of the world. Then we'll talk about CPSM, the major research thematic areas, major national and international collaboration matrices we have established since I came back to Egypt a few years ago, impacting community, industry, community at large, some major achievements and so on. Well, previously I had occupied a number of senior academic positions in the UK, where I stayed there almost 13, 14 years, University of Leeds, University of South Wales, where I was chair professor of photonics. And quite recently, not very recently, since 2017, I'm honorary professor of photonics at Nottingham, University of Nottingham. And since 2012, when I came back to Egypt, I started this center, CPSM, at Zewali City of Science and Technology. And along the way, I have occupied a number of senior positions, like Director General of Research Institutes at Zewali City, and also Vice Chairman and President of Zewali City for a couple of years. Zewali City, of course, you might know that it is named after our late Dr. Zewali Nobel Laureate of Chemistry in 1999. So Zewali City, by all means, is considered as one of the main, if not the main at all, academic and research drivers of Egypt's agenda towards Renaissance to be achieved by 2030. Well, what is the role played by photonics in the market? A global market for photonics is totaling at, I think these statistics are a few years ago, totaling around almost $500 billion, and optical measurement and image processing products valued at 33 billion euros. Photovoltaics itself is around 55 billion euros. It's around 12% of the market of photonics in Europe. As I said, these numbers are a few years ago, but this is quite indicative how much is or how important is the role played by photonics in the market and the establishing of what's called now knowledge-based economy. So research and development in photonics does not only concentrate or focus on research and photonics, but is penetrating a number of areas, as you can see. Anything from production technology, measurement, medical technology, diagnosis, sensing and treatment, communications, information, displays, lighting, and so on and so forth. At the Center for Photonics and Smart Materials, when we started this center in 2012, our vision was to create a center that can focus on the creation and use of novel computational modeling techniques for analysis, design, and optimization of a very wide range of micro and nano photonic devices that can find interesting and applications in a number of diversified areas like renewable energy, with a focus, as you can imagine, on photovoltaics, telecommunication systems, quantum information processing, photon entanglement, of course, is the heart of this area, and photonics sensors. However, these are the four thematic areas where our major research focus is going around, but we are more than happy and more than welcome to work in other areas. Anything beyond, anything within photonics we can collaborate in. I'll give you a hint about our major national projects and technology transfer to industry. I'll give some examples from each project. Solar cells. Actually, we have few years ago started to establish one of the biggest solar energy alliances in Egypt. Alliance here means some sort of collaboration consortium formed around academic partners as well as industrial partners. The total number of partners in this national alliance is around 30 partners, as I said, between universities and companies and industries. And the main idea behind this consortium or national alliance is to not only to focus on research and development, R&D, but also to give a good room for technology transfer. So we would like to see things beyond the lab and go to the fab and hopefully to the market later on. The total fund attracted in this, or total fund attracted to support this national alliance was around 25 million Egyptian pounds. For our brothers and colleagues in Latvia, $1 is around, 16 or 17? $1 is around 16 Egyptian pounds. So this 25 million Egyptian pound is something around 1.25 million US dollar. In this national alliance, we have focused actually in silicon nano wires, solar cells, where I think we are talking about a technology which is very promising to play a pivotal role in the future of renewable energy engine. A number of prototypes have been fabricated and tested. Some journal papers, 8 journal papers, actually more papers are coming in pipeline. 3 international conference papers so far. A patent has been filed and 2 others are in the progress. But as I said, one of the major challenges in this alliance is not only to do R&D, but also to go beyond the boundaries of the lab and go to the fab and market later on, hopefully. In the area of, this is just one example of solar cells projects, but we have also conducted a number of other projects in solar cell. As I said, I'll give you just an example of each area. In photonic sensors, we have actually a project that has been completed, and it was funded by the British Council and in collaboration with the University of Nottingham, where as I said, I'm a professor at the moment. And the main idea behind this project is to design a photonic sensor network that can tell us in advance, well in advance, if there is any damp and factors that can affect the quality of the listed and heritage buildings in some old areas of Cairo, areas like Al Hussein, Al Ghurriya, and other areas. It has richness of listed and heritage buildings, but unfortunately, they are not receiving the enough care in order to, in advance, monitor the quality of these buildings. In collaboration with the University of Nottingham, we do the modeling and design work, and they have done the fabrication and characterization, and we come up at the end with a design of a very smart and highly sensitive sensor that can, as I said, tell us in advance how much is the quality and how much is a degradation that can be expected to happen to this kind of object. Similar to that, we have also worked on photonic sensors, but in a completely different area, which is biomedical applications. And it was about the glucose monitoring using plasmonic technology. And this project was funded by our Egyptian Science and Technology Development Fund, STDF, and it was done in collaboration with the University of Malaya in Malaysia. In quantum optics and data encryption, this is a very nice and interesting area. And in this project, actually, it was done in collaboration with the University of Central Florida, and of course, with a big name. I'm sure you all know him, Dr. Baha Saleh, University of Central Florida, carrier. And in this project, we have designed and fabricated a new highly secure data transmission system based on quantum photonic entanglement. And this is quite important in order to ensure security during the transmission of highly sensitive and confidential information and data that we can encounter in many applications, in banks, financial institutions, and let alone, of course, military applications. In optical fiber communications, we have done a number of fascinating projects in this area. One example is a project that was funded by National Telecom Regulatory Authority that's related here to the Ministry of Telecommunications in Egypt. And in this project, actually, we have combined the idea of polarization diversity, like polarization rotation, polarization splitting, and polarization handling devices in general, in order to, number one, reduce the complexity and the number of hardware components encountered in building the telecommunication systems. And of course, this will lead to something more important, which is cutting down the power consumption. So we are dealing here with two aspects of the problem. One of them is reduction of complexity and also reduction of power consumption. So we are working towards what we can call it green optical communication systems. As I said, we have developed so large matrix of international and national collaboration. These are the universities we are working or are collaborating with at the moment. Most of them are in UK, where I spent there so many years, like Lancaster City, University of Nottingham, South Wales, in addition to Brunel in Italy, Polytechnic di Bari, and so on and so forth. Also, I have done, while I was in UK, so much consultancies and work with photonics industry in UK, like WIFO in Wales, Kinetic, Photonics, RFMD, Wojitsu, and so on. And professional societies like Optical Society of America, IEEE, and so on and so forth. I think we did a bit of work in outreach of photonics to the wider community to tell people about what is photonics, what is technology and science. And one of my major interests as well is to get students in the schools excited about space. And because of that, and because we have worked quite hard on the African dimension. I was awarded UNESCO chair in innovative technology for sustainable development in Africa. And the innovative technologies here are focused more or less around photonics. Through this chair, we have worked in the past 2 years to give the best training ever for postgrad students, African students, especially ladies, on how to use and adopt photonics technology, not only to do research and development, but also to apply it in the market and develop their own companies. The whole idea about this UNESCO chair is to advance nanophotonics research and teaching programs. I'm focusing here about Africa, enhance the job prospects of African students. This will lead to raising up their profiles, professional and academic profiles for employability. And this will lead eventually to prosperity and development of Africa. And here is the catch bit, which is by this, we have, I hope, we can work towards reduction, significant immigration, illegal immigration flux into Europe. So I think European institutions like ICTP, UNESCO, and other institutions, actually, they were quite interested to collaborate with us in this program because of this point. Impacting community, well, I don't want to talk about myself too much, but we have done so much professional work like editorship of journals and the collaboration with national universities, almost all universities in Egypt. I cannot forget one and mention one. Almost all universities I have collaborated with, and also we are sitting on a number of national committees, academic and research committees, and more importantly, as you can imagine, the committees that can decide where the funding can go. So since I came back to Egypt, I think the Egyptian academic community started to focus more or less into photonics. Outreach, as I said before, I'm quite interested to organize workshops, training workshops, and prepare and design some sessions, even in international conferences for undergrad students and also for school students. By this, I am hoping to bring a hub of knowledge transfer between research in photonics and our youngsters and kids to get them excited about this booming area, as I said. Main achievements, we have attracted around 4 million US dollar in terms of research fund, and also more than 30 or 35 awards. The most prestigious one was the African Union Kwame Nkrumah Award, which is a top scientific award. I was awarded this award this year, and 2 years ago I was honored by Mr. President Al-Sisi, the Egyptian president, in the Science Day. We have published quite enormously in leading photonics journal and conferences. And thank you. I'm more than happy to answer any question. Sorry if I take more than the specified time.
Thank you very much about very, very comprehensive and impressive presentation. Colleagues, your questions, welcome.
Do you want me to stop share?
Yes, I hope so, because it's easy to see where we are.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you are welcome.
Okay. Thank you for your presentation. I understood that you focus on mathematical modeling and not on experiments. Is it correct? Can you comment on that?
Well, you can split the ratio of our work or our focus between 70–75% of our work is in computational modeling work. We have around 25–30% on fabrication. We have three labs, sorry. One, of course, is in computational modeling, where we have a number of workstations and computer cluster, but we have two other labs. One of them for solar cells, and the other one for optical fiber, especially in photon entanglement.
Thank you.
Okay.
More questions? Yeah, David, welcome.
Okay. You told about your ties with ICTP.
Yes.
As I understood, you are strong in theory, of course. I'm senior associate of ICTP, so I would like to hear a few words about your collaboration with ICTP.
Well, first I was associate. Then a few years ago, I am a senior associate of ICTP, and I am sending some students to. Not sure if you know him, Professor Namela, Joe Namela.
No.
Joe Namela is leading the optics group in ICTP, and from time to time we send some students. Quite recently, one of my master students, Mahmoud Rabi, spent there about 2 weeks to receive some training on optical fiber communication work. And we are developing together at the moment something for African students. I mean, as I said, one of the main drivers for my UNESCO Chair program is ICTP because they would like the African students to receive the best training in photonics and other technologies, but my area is photonics. So they are quite interested to, not to finance, but to support the activities of my UNESCO Chair. And we have agreed with Professor Joe Namela to establish an African network for younger researchers, African younger researchers, to be trained around photonics technology. By this, I think we will have a good vehicle to bring in the best and brilliant, most brilliant African students to be trained at master and PhD levels.
Okay, thank you. How about your mentioning about nanophotonics at the beginning? You told, could you say a few words in details?
Well, we have two people here working in nanophotonics, Dr. Mohammed Farahat and Dr. Afaf Saeed. So they'd like to give us 1 or 2 minutes about their work in nanophotonics. We'll start with Dr. Farhat.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, hello. As you know that photonics is the light interaction with the material, and we are working in, if we control the light-matter interaction within the nanoscale, it's called nanophotonics. And we have developed some work about that. One of them is biomedical sensor for cancer early detection using metamaterials. In this direction, the metamaterial composed of metallic layers on SOI substrate within a nanometer scale. Also, we are working in nanowire solar cells where the dimensions of such wire in the nanometer scales, and we are aiming to increase the efficiency of the solar cell beyond the silicon or the conventional solar cells. Additionally, we have developed biomedical sensors based on photonic crystal fibers for glucose monitoring in collaboration, as Professor Salah said, with Malaya University. And such field confinement in the nanoscale can be represented or by the nanophotonics scheme. Additionally, one of our colleagues is working in quantum dot solar cells in order also to enhance the solar cell efficiency. All these works within the nanoscale are belonging to the nanophotonics. I think also we are working in silicon photonics direction nowadays. One of them is to develop the polarization control using the meter surface based on SOI devices. Additionally, in order to increase the data rate sent through the optical communication systems, we are using different platforms rather than photonic crystal fibers, such as silicon photonics, SOI, and silicon insulator, such as silicon on sapphire. And in this direction, we are developing different devices, including polarization rotator, polarization splitter, and multiplexer demultiplexers. All these devices have the dimensions in terms of nanometer scales. So the basic idea is to control the light-matter interaction within the nanoscale, and this can be developed in different areas.
Okay, thank you very much for your presentation. It's very interesting. My
Thank you.
questions were related with the search of possible areas of collaboration. As you know, different teams are working in different fields, and one of main aims of this meeting, not only simply to be acquainted with each other, but just to try to touch some areas where we can start our collaboration in practical ways. That's why I asked you about these issues of nanophotonics. It's interesting that you were mentioned about the joint results with University of Malaya, because I also worked in Malaysia a long time, and I also worked in some practical applications. But now this is new area, and we're developing here also the same. And I have good ties with Russian institutes, which also working in the field of increasing the sensitivity and efficiency of solar cells and photodiodes in IR field, like you mentioned, by using quantum dots. So we have some experience in this field. Now we are working in this field, and we can find that places of joint collaboration in this field. So thank you very much for your some more detailed information. Overall, I would be pleasant if you will submit some additional information to members of our team, and particularly to me, regarding nanophotonics, like one of the potential fields of our joint collaboration in the future. Thank you.
So we might send some few papers to give you a feeling about our research work in different directions.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm interested in this. You know, as in any case, once two people meet or two groups meet, we have first to see in which fields we both can be interested to each other. Okay. That's why it is interesting, because of nanophotonics, and particularly properties of quantum dots, which are very interesting for this point of view. And you know, strong developments in China as a country #1 for now in optics. They strongly work in practical applications of different quantum dots to increase the yield of photons, and it's very important from the point of view of increasing of solar cells efficiency. Another issue is related with the improvements of the surface characteristics of solar cells, like changing the wettability to super hydrophobic. In that case, many impeding features like drops of water could not decrease the efficiency of those solar cells. Probably it could be also one of the fields. And third field is also the field related with using of perovskites. And those perovskites are very advanced from the point of view of increasing of efficiency of solar cells and quantum dots. So we will consider this issue from the point of view of potential collaboration in this field. I'm not talking about other fields, because of all of them are in the scopes of our interests, but to some extent, some of them more stronger, some of them less stronger, and we have to identify the real areas to get a real result of from this meeting and from our potential collaboration in future.
Okay, great. Okay, so action from our side, we will send you Dr. Rashid some papers more or less related to solar cells, nanophotonics, and quantum dots.
Thank
Some
you.
of our
Thank you.
research. Most
It
of
would be very useful. And after that, by method of iterations, our team to your team to our team.
This is just a kick-off meetings, of course,
Yeah,
just
yes.
to get to know each other and what we are doing.
Okay.
I'm more than happy to receive other questions from other colleagues.
Yeah, colleagues, more questions, please. I have one curiosity-driven question. Are you experienced in framework program projects, European Union framework
I
program?
cannot hear you.
Sorry, sorry, just a moment.
We can hear you.
Yeah, okay. I am wondering, are you any experience with Horizon 2020 projects?
Of course, yeah.
You succeeded with some? To
I
participate?
didn't apply actually to H 2020.
Yeah, okay.
But well, I have mainly as you might see in my presentation, we have got
Yeah,
reasonable amount of fund from Egyptian sources and from British Council and so on. But we are more than happy. Well, in the past, when I was in the UK, we have brought some fund from European Framework 6 and 7.
yeah.
So I am familiar with European programs in general. But H 2020, no, since I came back to Egypt, we didn't try so hard
Yeah.
but we are, well, I'm more than happy in all to collaborate with you in this direction.
Yeah.
Thank you. The question, as I understood from Arnold's, was also about extension. Now, going another 7-year program named Horizon Europe, and so it mostly dedicated to inter-European collaboration. It also takes into account the possibility of collaboration with the countries outside the European continent. So probably we can find some possible calls where we can create some consortium on that matter.
I think there is 2 vehicles that are quite known and could be supported by H 2020 if I'm not wrong. One of them is called Mobility Program, which can facilitate staff exchange between Egypt and Latvia. This is one. Well, we need to look at the details and the application form and so on. And the other program, which is Erasmus. At the moment, I think we are trying to establish a joint master, hopefully leading to PhD program in photonics with the University of Ghent in Belgium, and are trying to find some financing sources from Erasmus to fund this program. But we are more or less, Dr. Farhat is working hard on this initiative. I think they are trying so hard to find some financing resources, as I said, from Erasmus component or Erasmus R. I think it comes more or less under the umbrella of H 2020, if I'm not mistaken. So we might look at these 2 programs, but of course, if you find more interesting and more relevant programs or vehicles of collaboration within H 2020, I'm more than happy to learn about it.
Okay, thank you very much. Both those 2 programs which you mentioned, I mean, Erasmus, which is mostly dedicated to exchange of students, could also be applied to us because we are from the main university of Latvia, named Latvian University. And it is university #1 in Latvia. The second program of Horizon Europe, also of in the scope of our interests, we have to think and see the requirements and regulations. Maybe we can also find some possibility of this one. Because of now, we are mostly searching for the programs like teaming project, but they mostly asking about the European partners. But
I think in some of these, sorry for interruption, some of these programs, they might consider us I mean, as Egypt, because Egypt could be considered as associate member.
Yeah, that's what I just wanted to tell about that, because of apart from European countries, associate countries, which named third part countries, they can be also included in that case to be considered as. Maybe we have to more closely see this, how it will make us some strides ahead on that matter.
Okay.
Let me.
If I can suggest, let us have another meeting to focus
Yeah,
our thoughts.
maybe you agree.
Yeah, to focus our thoughts about two things.
Yeah.
One thing is what is the most interesting joint area of work between your side and our side? I mean, Latvia and Egypt. This is one thing. And the other thing is what is the financing arm? What is the vehicle through which we can finance this collaboration? H2020 or other initiatives through which we can lodge a funded research project.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think that it is a good suggestion.
may I add a few words? You took words from my mouth. I already noticed that we need to mention Erasmus and also staff exchange projects. Erasmus, I will check directly to my university offices what is current situation with Erasmus due to this COVID slowdown, and possibly it's very easy to start to negotiate, because it's the first step how we can start to cooperate, and very quickly and more slowly, but still the projects for Horizon Europe, which will be open for so-called academia staff exchange across European borders. It's so-called RISA projects in Horizon 2020. Then I also will check what we can do, because I already experienced, we wrote projects in space area involving Helwan Observatory. I have good contacts with Helwan Observatory in satellite ranging. We already raised such projects in Horizon 2020, but failed to be financed. Therefore, I see this first very good opportunity in case of success with this academia staff exchange project. You are having a fellowship for 2,000 euros per month for staff exchange for a month or two or even 6 months. And this is very basis for cooperation.
Very good.
If we're passing from questions to comments, I would like to allow me to few words more. First, I seeing from your scope of activities that we can try to join. We are doing it by ourselves, but we can to join with our other centers where some fields are very important and very strong. For example, quantum computing, by the way. We had the single grant for European Research Council grant was in quantum computing, as this colleague is in our advisory board. And concerning photovoltaics, there is an opportunity. We having not so much strong research in Latvia in photovoltaics, but we have very strong team led by Latvian in the United States in experimental part. Therefore, I think that there could also be some chance to meet together. And what I got asked about your capacities and theory, we are greatly oriented to experimental part. There's also some synergy for future cooperation.
Sure. Very good. Thank you. And this seems going to be quite interesting. Thank you.
More comments, colleagues, for discussion?
If no comments, I just would like to support the suggestion of Professor Sabaya about organizing another meeting related to the fixed issues which Professor Sabaya mentioned. First is real fields of collaboration, and second is potential projects from which we can get some fundings for either joint studies or joint, how to say, trips in two countries, is other waves of collaboration. There are too many. I do not want to elaborate, but I think there's two issues which were suggested. It coherently matches with what we also want to get from this meeting and from the potential collaboration with Egypt and your center. If it is the common opinion, I think that this initial first meeting could be completed. I don't know. Maybe somebody has another.
Maybe we can mention next meeting, first weeks of July.
As I said, from our side, we'll send some papers to tell you about the nature of our work and the diversity of applications we are penetrating in photonics or are targeting in photonics. And today is 15th, so I think if we can give us an opportunity of 2 weeks to read papers and prepare our minds and set up our minds and set clear agenda for the next meeting.
Yes.
Probably beginning of July would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would add that I guess will provide, we have very good business card proceedings of our last conference in April. I guess will provide your materials, I suppose, Igar, you can send
Great.
references to this conference, you will see scope of our activities.
Great. So if we get today's 15th, so probably beginning of July.
Second week of July.
Second week of July.
Yeah, first is very short. It's
first week is very short.
Yeah, second week of July.
How about Tuesday, 6th of July?
Yeah, preliminary. Yeah, okay.
Okay, send us the date that you prefer, and we'll
yeah, probably 6th of July is good. Let's assume at the same time.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Good.
It's okay. It's great. Say 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
Cairo time and 1 o'clock Riga time.
Great.
Okay.
Great.
Okay, great. It was very nice to hear you. Thank you very much. It was very interesting. I saw many interesting things, and it just reminded me some of my trips around the globe. I see that we were in many similar places. I also spent a lot of time in England.
Of course, it will be our honor and pleasure to host you whenever COVID-19 is relieved, to host all of you in Cairo.
Thank you.
See you online in a few weeks' time. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye to everybody.